Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and welcome to The Wasteland, my weekly show where I take a deep dive into a particular film. And yes, we made it to 1930. We've made it through the teens, we made it through the 20s, and now we just need the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, and I'll be done John Ford in 1 year and 2 months.
God.
But joining me for this particular episode, as she is so very excited to join me for all future John Ford episodes, is my very good friend, Paige.
This is the only reason I'm doing this is because we're such good friends.
Why?
I hope you feel loved.
I do, and I appreciate it.
Okay, of course, yes.
Well, luckily, as I get further along, people actually pick those movies. So your obligations will be further and farther between.
Oh.
So there you go. As she's just like, praise. But
Yeah.
for those who have not tuned in to Welcome to the Wasteland before, we have 3 segments. We have our coming attractions for the week of September 29th. Yes, it's almost October.
Ooh.
And we have our feature film, which is Men Without Women. Why is it called that? You won't find out. And then we have some recommendations for you. But for this week, between the next 2 weeks, there's an insane amount of films coming out. And I'm really wondering if they're trying to beat the Taylor Swift wave that's coming on October 13th.
Oh, yeah.
Or is it just coincidence? I don't know. But there are indeed 4 wide releases and 1 expansion this week, with Paw Patrol, the Mighty Movie, and Saw 10 coming out, so we could all go watch Saw Patrol. We have The Kill Room.
Double feature! Saw Patrol!
There we go.
Okay, cool.
And we have The Kill Room, which is a new, dark comedy kind of thriller. But I think everybody's probably paying most attention to Gareth Edwards' new film, The Creator. And we have the expansion of Dumb Money and a couple other films coming out on streaming. But Paige, which one are you most excited for?
Saw 10, because I admire the tenacity. That franchise is 20 years old, right?
Yeah, it certainly is. Those Australians don't know when to give up.
You can say that about a lot of things.
I know, I was just, pointing out that it was Australian.
Yeah.
And it has an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
That's pretty
which
good.
is by far the highest rated Saw film because it's the only one that's fresh.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay. Oh.
So, I guess they saved the best for what we're probably going to think is the last, but who are we kidding if it makes money?
Amen.
So, I have only seen Saw and Spiral. So I wonder how well I'm going to do going to see the 10th one. But, it's one of those kinds of things where it's just like, is it really the dawn of Halloween if there isn't a Saw or Paranormal Activity movie?
No.
No, apparently not. So that's why we're getting another Saw movie. Mm-hmm. And this one seems like John Kramer's like the protagonist, like at the center of it. And I don't know if that's weird or different because I haven't seen any of them except for the first one. So there you go. I just thought it was
endorsement.
So I just thought it was interesting watching the trailer. It's like they didn't want to save him. Medical malpractice. Usually you would just sue a person or a group of people, but no, he puts them in intricate traps to make them self-mutilate for his entertainment and revenge. So
that's how they solve. My sister's in law school, and she said that's how they solve medical malpractice cases. So you're actually wrong.
Well, there you go. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. So I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Your bestie.
Going into this weekend, I was most excited for The Creator, which is Gareth Edwards' new film, which how the hell that movie has an $80 million budget and looks as crazy good with special effects as it does, seeing as I watched one of the ugliest films I think I've ever seen, Expendables, this past weekend, and that was a $100 million budget. But this, I really do enjoy Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and some character under development aside, I think the 2014 Godzilla film was a pretty impressive Godzilla film. So I was pretty excited going into this film. I did happen to see it last night, and it's solid. So it definitely delivers on the effects and everything. But I think a big thing is, do you like John David Washington?
He's polarizing, I feel like.
Yeah. I saw people were like, he's so overhated. He has infinite charisma. And I'm like, does he?
I think he's a middling actor. I don't hate him or love him. I feel positive to neutral about him.
There you go. Well, he is the lead of the creator, so you'll certainly see all of it, plenty of him and his robophobia, which was pretty honestly relatable for me.
Is it like homophobe? Like like fear of robots?
Yes.
But is it like fear of robots, like homophobia is technically fear of like gay people, or is it like a genuine like fear?
Well, like robophobe, like I'm a robophobe. I'm afraid of...
Wow, you're canceled.
I'm afraid of the dawn of Skynet and then us all dying, so I don't trust artificial intelligence, so...
I don't think about it.
You won't think about it until it takes over.
Yeah, you're right.
So there you go. But the creator is definitely will definitely offer like that big screen kind of experience that you want. I saw it in Dolby. It was pretty impressive. Okay. So maybe you could see Saw on IMAX, and then you could see all those things like real up close and disgusting.
Ew, I don't know about that, man. Ugh.
But who are we kidding? We all just want to see Paw Patrol, the Mighty Movie.
ACAB.
God. But what we're really here to do is talk about Men Without Women.
Oh, wait, do we... Oh, our recommended for the week. Our recommended at the end. Sorry.
Yep.
Yes. I've done this a million times. I should know that. Sorry.
It's all good. So, Men Without Women is John Ford's first 1930 film that we're going to do. So, first film in the 30s. So, fun fact, the full audio and sound version of this film is completely lost. So, they only have an international sound version, which has partial dialogue. Probably so that they could switch in international languages and title cards and stuff like that. But we get singing, we get yelling.
We get it.
And we get a lot of sound, including blowing up grenades and crazy like ship sounds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, Paige, what are your general thoughts on Men Without Women?
All right. Well, I have several thoughts. The first one, as like you kind of referenced earlier, I don't know why it's called that, because there are plenty of movies where it's an all-male cast. Like, I don't know why they called it that.
And,
it doesn't make
the
sense.
first third of this movie has plenty of women in it,
yeah,
too.
Well,
So.
the other thing, the very, like, first shot of the movie, there's, like, a bunch of women. I'm like, wait, like, I was promised men without women, and here I see women without men. For a second.
Yeah, there's at least a shot or two where it's just a bunch of Chinese... sex workers,
I would assume, yeah.
Yep. So, yes, this does indeed start in a Chinese brothel.
For no reason. It has no bearing on the plot, really.
Honestly, this film probably could have just started with them getting on the ship.
What do you mean could? It definitely could have. 100% could have. They could have cut out 20 minutes.
Yep. And then it would have only been like 50-something minutes instead of the hour and 13 minutes that it was.
Yeah. So, no, first of all, title very confusing because, first of all, there are women in the movie, and secondly, that doesn't really have anything to do with the main story, which is that these men are trapped on a submarine trying to escape. Like, what? They could have called it, I don't know, the submarine caper or some dumb shit like that, but...
I appreciated your other title that you came up with.
What did I say? You gotta say it. Look, this is an adult channel, it's fine.
I can't say it, because I'm not going to say the F word on air. Nor do I generally say it anyway. But,
I remember. Yeah, no, we can't say that.
It was a pretty funny and amusing name.
We can't say
and it was much more like
relevant
and representative of what this movie actually is.
Thank you, Shane. Okay. So we established title is really totally non sequitur. But also, as you mentioned, the fact that the film went between sound, music, talking, title cards, no sound, that was very jarring. Like, did not enjoy that. I wish they just picked one or the other. Yeah. But honestly, I will say, unlike the other John Ford movie we watched, I felt like this one did make a lot more sense. Mm-hmm. Like, I could follow the story without looking it up on Wikipedia afterwards.
It was basically just, a bottle episode of a show or something like that.
Literally a ship's bottle.
You're literally stuck in a ship, and it's like, oh my god, we need to get out. And then you have like religious fanatics threatening with grenades and stuff like that.
It was just one religious fanatic.
True. One. Who threatened multiple times with grenades.
It was, that was a little odd, but... And also, okay, I'm trying to be more positive instead of just, like, complaining. So, you know, I thought the story was very linear, and they shot underwater, which I feel like in 1930 was, like, frickin', like, top technology cutting edge.
There's a couple of really cool shots, especially to reinforce what should have probably been the first shot of the movie, of that, like, this storm going on the ocean. You could see the ship and everything.
Yeah.
It's like, that would have been a really cool way to start this movie. Because it's a pretty impressive technical feat looking at it. And then it was also fun that it cut to, like, a couple of guys in, like, one of the nests on a ship. And basically it's just buckets of water getting shot at them.
Yeah, they're like...
It's like, there's 100%... guys with buckets chucking water at them from off frame.
Didn't look fun.
No, I'm sure the people chucking the water from the buckets were probably having some fun, though.
Well, yeah.
But generally I thought, the first act of this was like, did we need it? And why is it so, like it's aged poorly.
Really poorly.
Because it's unbelievably stereotypical. Just like, hey, look, everything is Chinese. And then this film, similar to The Black Watch that I did that episode with Jess, there's a bunch of sequences of singing that are 100% only in this movie because it's a talkie.
Just to flex.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, look what we can do now. And that's exactly what it feels like. And it's just like, did we need music numbers towards the beginning of this film? No. Did we need any of the first act of this film? Probably not.
No.
But, and it was very, like, it set up some things that I don't feel like were necessary to make this story complete. Because when it really comes down to it, it's just a survival film.
Yeah.
So, like, you didn't need, like, hey, look, you remember when this guy remembered this person from earlier in the movie?
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, it's like, I don't really feel like that was needed. It's just like, oh, look, it's just a British ship. They're here to save us. Yay!
Like, they could have just been, like, they could have started it, like, you know, in media race, storm going, as you suggested, and then they could have had a reveal at the end that, like, the guy who sacrificed himself was a coward and abandoned his ship before.
Yep.
And, like, you could have just cut out the whole first act. Mm-hmm. And so, now I'm going to sacrifice myself because I abandoned the ship before.
And you have an emotional...
This is me playing the horn.
Yeah. Scene at the very end of the movie, and it's just like, well, that's the end. He was sad.
Well, no, because they have this extremely mournful, like, song, and then it cuts a hard cut to the credits with, like, the jauntiest fucking tune you've ever heard in your life.
And it was like...
It was a whiplash.
It felt like... I'm trying to think of other, like, really jarring credit cuts because of the music. Mm-hmm. Here's a great one. The early 90s Three Musketeers movie cut to this song that was a group song by Bryan Adams, Sting, and, like, one other person, and it felt so, like, out of place in a Three Musketeers movie.
Yeah, isn't that, like, from, like, the 1600s? Doesn't that story take place in the 1600s, I think?
Yes, it does. So, it's just like, wait a minute. They're just trying to sell music, obviously.
Sure.
Best original song, nice try. But it's like one of those kinds of things where you're like, it was pretty jarring when the credits cut
it was really funny.
And like, I'm assuming it wasn't meant to be funny, because there's definitely some credit jumps with some of the music choices that are meant to be funny.
Yeah, no, this was just not.
No, it was just, like, very jarring. But yeah, you have... I think John Ford does a good job of building the tension in this. You see the water, like, slowly building up inside the set. From, like, a technical standpoint, it's a really impressive feat of what they were trying to do in terms of building tension and stuff like that. It just... a bunch of needless setup at the beginning of the movie that really didn't feel like it added anything. And this could have just been a streamlined thriller and would have been, I feel like, a better film, a better paced film, and a more impressive film. Because I could probably understand, like, if people were like, nope, I'm done. After, like, the first part of the movie, like, what the hell is this? I'm done. Instead of realizing it's like that had nothing to do with what the whole entire movie was at all.
Yeah, it was, and tonally, the first act didn't fit at all either. Like, it was almost like a lighthearted comedy that turns into a survival story, but there's no transition from that one kind of, like, genre to the other. Yeah, I 1,000% agree with you. They should have just gotten rid of it.
But in general, when it actually gets going into the film that it's supposed to be, John Ford flexes his directing skills, and I think most of the actors do a good job of, like, being frantic, stressed, and
sweaty.
Like, yes.
Shirtless and barrel-chested.
Yes, and hairy.
And hairy, yes.
They're either shirtless or wearing their very wet tank tops. And it's just like, yep.
Okay.
Well, this is the Men Without Women.
Yeah. This is
and also, the title would have made more sense if they didn't have the beginning part of the movie, too.
You should not have a movie called Men Without Women that prominently features women.
So...
Why would you do that?
Well, I don't know if it's some kind of reference to, like, sea life, like being a sailor on a ship.
Okay, but the first act doesn't even take place on the sea.
Well, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out why they might have called this movie that.
Yeah,
but in the end, I think it's some solid work from John Ford. It's definitely not one of my favorite ones that I've watched so far. Also, the past two films certainly turned things back a bit in terms of, like, problematic, poorly aged caricatures of Asian people. So it's just kind of like, maybe the next one not.
Or just never do that.
Well, it was a different time back in 97 years ago.
No. 93 years ago.
90...
No, wait.
No, yeah, 93 years ago.
I don't know. Which one of us is the accounting professor here?
I've already taught 2 math classes today. I'm burnt out.
I'm a social worker, and we only need to know how to use calculators. Wait a minute, I can check.
I wish all my students brought calculators to their exam today. But no, it's 23 plus 70. It's 93 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, he's right.
So, yeah, this is a long time ago, and, you know, it was a different time then, and just, you know, casual racism. So, rampant in cinema. But, you know.
Especially Orientalism. I feel like there was that element of, like, oh, they're exotic. Like...
They certainly built that up in the last film with the depiction of India, and in this one, the depiction of China.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the next one could go to Japan or something, and you could just keep this going.
Keep the theme! Yay!
Oh, wait, no, those are always World War II films. We'll get there.
Oh, my God.
But, Paige, do you have any other thoughts on Men Without Women?
Other than the completely false advertising, you know. No, I enjoyed the technical feats. You know, the shooting underwater was very cool. Seeing the, I guess, not at the time, they were cutting-edge diving suits at the time. Yes. Now they're obviously, like, antique. Yeah. But it was very interesting because I had never seen that before. I didn't realize they actually use those types of suits, but... No, I mean, it was just, you know, it was torture, and I enjoyed eating my grilled cheese sandwich and hanging out with you guys, but...
There you go.
Yeah.
But now on to some recommendations, and I know Paige has one that she really wants to tell you about.
You're making me sound like a pervert, but yes. I just watched the new Interview with the Vampire series. 10 out of 10. Both because, you know, of the gay shit, but also... I loved the Interview with the Vampire books, that whole series, when I was, like, a teenager. And I feel like the show does a really good job of capturing that, like kind of erotic, but also just, like, absolutely campy, melodramatic, saccharine, like, vibes. It does a great job of capturing that. in a way that like the 1994 movie absolutely didn't. So if you're into just like gay vampire schlock, highly would recommend. And even if you're not, I would give it a try because I think it's actually a good show outside of that too.
It is an AMC Plus show, but I know they're showing it on Max.
I watched it on Max. Yeah.
So they have some kind of deal where they're just showing. I 100% believe this is a dry run for them to shut down AMC Plus, and then for AMC Network to just send all their content to Max. So,
fine with me. We already pay for Max, so
it's like one less streaming service.
Hell yeah.
Which I guess would mean that they would have to fold Shudder in and all kinds of stuff into Max. Which, like, if Max didn't have enough reason why it was the best streaming service, just keep adding to the list.
So wait, do you think we could watch an episode of the, Interview with the Vampire and talk about it on YouTube? Or do we just have to keep watching John Ford movies for the next year?
If you want to talk about the show, we could definitely do that.
All right.
I'd have to do some. I watched it when it came out,
which was like a year ago.
Yeah, on AMC Plus. So I'd have to do some rewatching just to brush up a little bit.
But I feel like we can talk a lot. It would be an interesting conversation about like queer media. Mm-hmm. And just me being like, oh, I love gay vampires. Okay, but anyway.
There you go.
Non sequitur. Sorry.
So. I have a couple of recommendations. So the new film that I wanted to recommend is No One Will Save You, which is starring Caitlin Devers, and this is actually from the director of Anna and the Apocalypse, which I absolutely love that. This is a new Hulu original because it's a 20th Century Studios film, and Disney's still being petty about them, so just releasing all the but smaller ones on Hulu. And basically it almost has no dialogue, and it's her dealing with an alien invasion in a town where nobody likes her anymore because of some troubling thing that happened in her past. And she deals with her drama, she deals with aliens. It's a pretty interesting and solid like horror film that they have over on Hulu just for that spoopy season. Because look, it's almost Halloween.
It is. Wait, there's almost no dialogue?
Yeah.
Alright, well now I have to check it out because that's intriguing.
Yep. My second recommendation is something that I saw in theaters in IMAX, which was awesome, was the remastered re-release of the Talking Heads concert Stop Making Sense. Boy, was this amazing.
I already don't make sense. So.
There you go. You're already ready. So this felt like a film. Like, this just didn't feel like somebody shot a concert for you to watch on a big screen.
Cool.
This felt like a film. It was from director Jonathan Demme, who made Silence of the Lambs and American History X. And it is so engrossing, so interesting, and boy, Talking Heads have a shit ton of just hits. And
the hits keep on coming.
Oh, it sure does. And it starts right off with Psycho Killer and just doesn't let up. So if you get a chance to check this out in theaters, check it out. I'm definitely buying it. Because this is probably one of the two greatest concert films I think ever put on film, along with Scorsese's The Last Waltz with the band back in the 70s.
Oh, the band.
The band.
The band.
Which also, rest in peace, Robbie Robertson, who was the lead of the band. And post them breaking up, became Scorsese's music supervisor for like his whole entire career after that.
Wow.
And sometimes composer, and his last film is going to be Killers of the Flower Moon. So.
Oh, like he just passed recently, didn't he? I feel like I remember
I think it was like February or March or something like that this year. So, and then rewatch of one of my own films was Memento, which I rewatched for the Wasteland Spotlight series that I'm doing on Film Noir with my brother. And because Ethan texted me randomly, he was like, can you recommend some film noir to me? And I sent him a list of 20 movies. And now we're talking about all of them on my YouTube channel.
So if you can do that with him, we gotta talk about gay stuff.
I just told you we could.
I know. I'm just saying.
And I rewatched Memento. So if you ever want to take a step back from this giant, big-scale director that Christopher Nolan has become, Go check out this twisted neo-noir about a man who cannot create new memories and has tattooed his whole entire body to solve the murder of his wife. And starring Guy Pearce, it has Joe Pantoliano and Carrie-Anne Moss, both fresh off of The Matrix in 2000. And this is such a fascinating film. I watched this for the first time in high school in cinema class. Blew my mind, and it still does every time I watch it because it's just crazy how Nolan actually made this all come together. And if you haven't seen it and you don't know what happens in it, it is going to be a crazy experience for you. And a couple of his films have given me something like that. I remember watching The Prestige for the first time and that blowing my mind in my dorm room, sitting there like, what just happened? But Memento, go check it out.
So wait, I have a question though. I mean, no spoilers because I actually haven't seen it and I want to see it. So when you say he can't form new memories, like if he like puts down his cup of coffee, he doesn't remember where he left it. Like it's really that bad?
Could be, yes.
That's interesting because I just wonder if that type of brain damage is like a real thing. Like, is he functional? Like, can he drive and like eat and stuff?
So basically, everything that's motor skills he has.
Mm-hmm. Like anything he learned before.
Correct.
Whatever brain injury caused this, but like but I just don't see how you could function in society if you like can't remember where you left your coffee cup or like. Can't remember, like...
Well, it certainly makes for an interesting film.
Alright, I have to see if the type of brain damage is even real. I'm interested. Anyway, but that's not
I don't know if it's real, but it doesn't matter because it makes for an interesting movie.
You're right, it sure doesn't.
But Paige, thank you so much for coming on Welcome to the Wasteland yet again to talk some John Ford.
You're welcome, Shane.
And Paige is going to be back in a couple weeks. So
I will.
Beneath the Seas.
This is a hostage video. I'm being taken hostage to watch John Ford. It's true.
That is not what happened.
It is. It's so true.
It's absolutely.
Let me out. Help.
Paige agreed to be part of a 6-person rotation that I have a group text for. So.
I did, and it's fine.
She only slightly regrets it.
You've done a lot for me. You're a good friend, so it's fine.
Oh, well. And thank all of you out there for always tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.